You think staying quiet keeps you safe? It doesn't. It makes you invisible. Every meeting where you say nothing, you're proving you have nothing to say. And in tech, invisible means replaceable. I'm going to show you a 30-second ritual for building visibility without dominating the room. Let's go. I'm Vin, licensed psychotherapist. I work with high achievers in tech who are brilliant at execution, but struggle to advocate for themselves. If you've watched parts 1 and 2, you know how to interrupt the comparison trap and work with the anxiety instead of fighting it. Part 3 is about what happens when you stay quiet, because nobody knows what you're capable of if you never speak up. Silence is often the most costly. You know that feeling where you're about to speak? The idea is right there, and then your brain goes, what if I sound dumb? What if I stumble? What if they judge me? So you don't. You stay quiet. The moment passes, everyone else speaks, and once again, you've said nothing. Here's what that looks like across roles. If you're an engineer, you optimize the search API, cut response time from 3 seconds to 20 milliseconds. Huge win here. Engineering all hands, someone asks, how did you improve search performance? And your tech lead starts answering, using your code, your approach, but saying we decided and we implemented. You're on the call, you could unmute, but your tech lead is mid-sentence, so you stay muted. 6 months later, your tech lead's promo packet says, drove 90% improvement in search performance. Your one-to-one notes say, continues to execute well on assigned tasks. If you're a product marketer, you built the entire go-to-market strategy, positioning, messaging, sales enablement deck. During company all hands, the product manager presents the launch. CEO asks about the positioning. PM answers. You're on the call, silent. 3 months later, product manager gets promoted for leading a successful launch. You get thanked in Slack. If you're a founder, 2 months talking to 50 potential customers, enterprise clients said, call us in 18 months. Small business clients said, we'd buy this today. Strategy meeting, team wants to go upmarket. You say, let's try both. 6 months later, sales chasing deals that won't close. You're at 40% of revenue target, and the board's asking hard questions. If you're a designer, 4 months redesigning your mobile nav, bottom nav performs 40% better in testing. And during the design review, founder says, I don't like bottom nav, use hamburger menu. You say, I'll explore that. App launches, metrics tank, app ratings drop, and then a few months later, you're redesigning. Back to bottom nav. 6 months wasted because you didn't push back. You stay quiet once, then twice, then it becomes your brand. The quiet one. The behind the scenes person. The doer, not the talker. If you don't speak, you can't be wrong. You can't be criticized. Every time you stay quiet, you're making yourself forgettable. In tech, there's this myth that if you're good, people will notice. That great work speaks for itself. But that's not how it works. The last promotion at your company went to the person who was vocal about their contribution. MIT and Carnegie Mellon studied team performance across hundreds of groups. Groups that performed the best weren't the ones with the smartest individuals. They were the groups where everyone contributed equally. But here's what matters for your career. In those high-performing groups, the people who spoke more frequently were rated as more influential and competent, even when the quality of their contributions was similar to the quiet members. People who decide your next opportunity aren't tracking your daily work. They're forming opinions based on the few hours they see you each week. Meetings, presentation, all hands. And if you're silent, that's the only data they have. Let me tell you about a client. And for privacy reasons, let's call him David. Mid-level engineer at a crypto company. Really smart technical mind here. Could untangle complex scaling problems that had his team stuck for weeks. His code reviews were legendary. People sought out his input in Slack and pull requests. But in meetings with leadership, he froze. And he said, I only think of what I should have said after it's too late. So here's what he'd do. Stay quiet in the planning meetings, then spend hours afterward writing long, detailed technical docs with all his insights. The thing is, nobody promotes a doc guy. When senior engineer promotions came up, the feedback was clear. We don't see the leadership presence. We don't see him shaping technical direction in planning meetings. His manager told him, your work is excellent, but in senior level, visibility matters. You need to be seen driving decisions, David's silence is the only thing standing between him and the promotion. But you don't break it by forcing yourself to dominate meetings. You break it with one rep. Your voice is like a microphone. If you never test it, static builds up. You hear a squeal. Eventually, you don't trust it. But what happens when you tap a live mic just once? The static clears. People lean in. The simple act of using it resets the whole system. And that's what we're going to do. Tap the mic, clear the static, and prove to yourself that your voice works. I call it the speak once ritual. The goal is simple. Speak once in every meeting. That's it. It doesn't have to be a brilliant monologue. It could just be, I agree with that point. Or can we clarify the next step? That one single rep flips you from invisible to visible. For your next meeting, make one commitment. I will speak once. That's your only goal. Not contribute meaningfully, not add value. Right now, just speak once. So let's practice that right now. Say out loud with me. I agree with that point. Can we clarify the next step? Here's one thing I noticed. You're not trying to say the smartest thing. You're not trying to dominate. You're tapping the mic. One tap per meeting, one rep. And back to David. First leadership planning meeting, David committed to speaking once. He said, I think that makes sense. 5 words, shaky voice, but he did it. Next meeting, can we clarify the rollout timeline? 6 words, slightly more substance. And in the third meeting, someone proposed a catching strategy. David knew it would cause data consistency issues. He felt the freeze, but he made the commitment. He said, I see one potential issue with this catch invalidation here. Then explain the problem. Engineering director asked David to walk through the alternatives. They redesigned their approach using David's recommendation. After the meeting, the director pulled him aside and said, that's exactly the kind of input that we need from you more often. Over the next 6 months, David kept the ritual, spoke once every meeting. Sometimes it was simple, sometimes it had more weight, but he always spoke. And when senior engineer promotions came around, his promotion package said, demonstrates leadership presence and technical judgment, shapes technical direction in planning discussions, ready for senior level scope. So he got promoted, not because he suddenly became extroverted, because he built the visibility muscle, one rep at a time. Here are the phrases that work in any meeting. Agreements. I agree with that point. That aligns with what I'm seeing. I think that's the right direction. Clarifications you can use. Can we clarify the next step? Just to confirm, are we moving forward with, could you repeat that last part? And then observations. Here's one thing I noticed. I'm seeing a pattern here. That's consistent with what customers are saying. Appreciations. That's a good point. Thanks, that helped me understand. I hadn't thought of it that way. And if you want something more specific to your role, here are phrases you can steal. If you're an engineer, I see an issue right here that we should consider. If you're a designer, I'm thinking about user flow here. If you're in marketing, here's what the data is showing. If you're a founder, let me add one data point to this. If you're a PM, I want to make sure we're aligned on that outcome. Just pick one. Use it in your next meeting. That's your rep. Whether you're on a video call or in a conference room, these phrases work. And on video calls, they're even more important because it's so easy to stay muted, easier to let others carry the conversation. So speak once, even if it's just, I agree with what Sarah said. That unmute button, that's your mic tap. Use it. But what happens if the static builds and you freeze? Don't abandon the ritual. Shrink the goal. A short, structured lifeline is all you need. It can be as simple as, could you repeat the last part? Just to be clear, are we moving forward with X? I think that makes sense. People hear your words, not your nerves. An account executive I worked with used this in a deal review. VP of sales was in the room. She'd been silent for 20 minutes. They were saying, this customer is price sensitive. We should offer a discount to close the deal. But she knew that wasn't true. She'd been on every call with this customer. They didn't care about the price. They cared about the implementation timeline. She felt that freeze coming, but she committed to the ritual. So she said, I want to add something. In my last 3 calls with them, price never came up. but they asked about implementation support every single time. Her voice was shaky, hands were trembling, but she said it. The VP paused, asked her what they actually needed. She explained. They restructured the proposal around implementation support. Customer signed the next week. She didn't dominate the meeting. She spoke once, and it saved the deal. If you missed your window, don't beat yourself up. Just grab the next one. Even a late thank you, that was helpful, keeps the ritual alive. It's about consistency, not perfection. Here's the big shift. David, much like others, realized I thought staying quiet was humble, but I was withholding information that could have helped my team make better decisions. Speaking up isn't arrogant, it's responsible. You're not showing off. And if this framework helped you realize that silence is costing you visibility, I want to hear your story. Drop a comment below. What's one meeting type where you always stay quiet? Is it leadership reviews, all hands, client calls, team stand-ups, investor meetings, or your co-founder talks? And which phrase from the Speak Once ritual are you going to use in your next meeting? Someone watching this right now is invisible in their meetings and thinks they can't change. Your comment might give them permission to finally speak. So here's what you can do before your next meeting. Action 1. Right now, open the calendar invite for your next meeting. In your personal notes section or separate note, write, I will speak once. Then pick your phrase from the list. Write it below your commitment. That's your go-to phrase when you feel the freeze coming. The note creates the intention. The phrase gives you the exact words. Action 2. Set a reminder 5 minutes before the meeting and title it Speak Once Ritual. When it goes off, read your commitment and your phrase. This primes your brain to execute the ritual instead of defaulting to silence. And action 3. After the meeting, even if you didn't speak, reset for the next one. Open your notes, write, next meeting, I will speak once. Missed opportunities happen, and what matters is you keep trying. Each attempt builds the muscle, even if you freeze. And here's what's going to happen. The first time you do this, it'll feel uncomfortable. The second time, slightly less uncomfortable. By the 5th time, it starts to feel normal. By the 10th time, people expect to hear from you. And that's how you build visibility muscle. And now let's bring this all together. You've now learned 3 frameworks. Use part 1 when you're comparing. Use part 2 when anxiety spikes. Use part 3 to build presence over time. Together, they're your playbook for moving from overthinking to confident action. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be willing to take 1 rep, even when it's uncomfortable. That's how you build confidence, not by waiting to feel ready, but by acting before you feel ready and collecting evidence that you can handle it. If you want all 3 cheat sheets, all 3 frameworks in one place, check the description below. Thanks for watching all 3 parts, and I'll see you out there.